Welcome back to the Stan Simpson Show. We're talking about the rise and fall and the reawakening of former NBA star Vin Baker of Old Saybrook, reeling from some financial and personal setbacks, poised for rebirth. First segment talked about sort of how he got here, alcoholism, the big issue, financial issues, joined by his manager, Abel Mason, who is here to help get his life back in order, along with the James Walker, a game plan to get Vin back. But I want to finish the conversation about money, because when you have an $87 million contract and it gets squandered, you know, Vin, people always say, man, how in the world do you squander $87 million? What do you say to him?
Oh, man, wrong decisions. Wrong decisions. I'm not in a class of my own.
No, you're not. And that's the sad part.
It's just wrong decisions. And,
starting from where? Because the agents, is it the multiple cars, the women? What is the first bad decision you make as a big-time athlete with millions of dollars coming your way?
Getting away from my background, from my church background, and getting away from my spiritual background. Number one, I grew up knowing I had to tithe.
Mm-hmm.
So
10%, right?
10%.
Of $87 million. That's $8.7 million right there.
So number one, knowing I had to tithe, and just getting away from my spiritual background, and jumping into a lifestyle that I wasn't accustomed to, that I wasn't raised on. My father and mother raised me to be respectable to not only my community, to myself, the game of basketball. And when you go against God and you go against what your morals and values are, you can run yourself into some situations. And I know it sounds over the top, but that's what I know. If I'd have tithe and did the things I needed to do as a young man, when God blessed me with over $100 million, things would be different.
Right. So you think the lack of discipline led to the downfall, right? And that's just one example, really, just losing that whole spirituality. Do you ever get that back, Vin? Do you ever say, how do you get that spiritual core back?
You just have to be close to the people. I feel that my mother and my father brought me up the way I should have been brought up, and you have to be close to the people to get it back. You have to be around people like that, like my mother, my father, Abel, James, people that will help you get back on the right track and don't necessarily want anything from you, but other than see you get back on the right track.
Abel Mason is manager. How do you now begin the comeback of Vin Baker? Basketball's out of the picture from a playing standpoint. What's the game plan to get him back where he's productive, feeling good, making money again?
Well, I mean, first, it's a pleasure to be here. I've watched your show.
Thank you for coming.
In Vin's case, it's doing things exactly like this, which is coming out. And there's a lot of people who really don't, that haven't heard his voice. And he has a voice. So this is the first step into putting him back to where he needs to be.
It's tough telling the story, right?
Of course.
You see, sweating here, right? It's hard, right? I mean, it takes a lot of credit telling us that's a very powerful personal story, right?
It is. And then, and to take nothing away from the book, because the book will go in depth of just his role. It's more than, a half an hour to an hour conversation. But it's a lot that he has to say. So we'll start off with the book.
Yeah, well, we'll go there in 1 second. I met him about probably 20 years ago. I don't know if you remember. I had him on a show I was doing. At the time, I said one of the nicest young guys I ever met. Well, one thing I found fascinating about him, I said, you know what? This guy's love is not basketball.
Right.
It was cooking. He wanted to be a chef. And no one ever wrote about that, right, Ben? Right. You wanted to be, right? I remember that this guy wants to be a chef.
Absolutely, yeah. I love to cook. I definitely
and
love
still
to cook.
do, right?
I do love to cook right now. I don't cook as much, but I love to cook, yeah.
But tell the truth, that's your first love.
That's my first love. I actually...
$87 million, first love is cooking.
No, I definitely love to cook, and I actually, when people found out about it, I was in the 2000 Olympics,
right.
And I was cooking for the Olympic team.
Were you really?
In Australia. I was running downstairs on the grill, running back upstairs, both for the men's team and the women's team. So it was an awesome experience. So
what's the Vin Baker specialty dish? What's the signature dish?
Man.
Come on now, give me a signature Sunday dish.
Oh, my signature dish is I like to cook seafood stuffing with fish. I love soul food. Fried chicken.
The shrimp scampi is a die for.
The shrimp scampi. So everything.
The shrimp scampi.
It depends on the one thing you can't come in the kitchen when I'm cooking.
Right. Only one chef allowed, right?
One chef allowed, and that's it.
And please don't feed the cook, right? Hey, real quick, the book coming out, right? A chance to really get personal, therapeutic. Abel, your thoughts on what do you want to tell in this story? Obviously, a very powerful story from Old Saybrook to the NBA, to the women, the money, to having the fall, the rebound. How are you going to map this out? What message will this book have to the average kid on the street?
For me, the book will touch a lot of different areas, but mainly the gentlemen that are coming into the NBA, or singers, athletes of all. It's just knowing what to do, what not to do, and learning from what Vin's mistakes.
Right.
I mean, because that's a blueprint. A lot of people may say, well, this or that. I mean, he's lived through it. He's gone through it, and he has a story to tell.
Yeah.
And people will see that he's more than anything is coming back and coming back strong.
Ben, how much does it help you when you read about other entertainers? Tony Braxton, Mike Tyson, Amanda Holyfield, other entertainers where the money is also squandered and similar lifestyle. Do you empathize? What goes through your mind when you read about other folks who had similar situations like you?
I empathize with everyone. We're not promised anything but tomorrow. And, I know I've been through certain situations financially, but the one thing I want to do is, through my ups and downs and my struggles, I want to make sure that, guys in the NBA, entertainers and people don't go through the things that I went through, and try to help them any way I can. Financially, we have certain things that we go through, and a lot of people go through them, but I want to make sure that in this book, and when we come out with this book, that people understand that there's a different way, a different strategy, and it all starts with spirituality. It's not just with the bank account. And I had to learn that. It was an expensive lesson, but I had to learn it.
Right. Going back to your roots. All right, we're going to pause right here. Come back with more of Vin Baker, joined by our entertainment attorney, James Walker. Walk is also assisting Vin Baker in getting his life back in order. Do not go away. You're watching The Stan Simpson Show.